Good afternoon students and welcome to today's science class. Today we will be dealing how the organisms are classified on the basis of cells. So the organisms are classified firstly whether the cells are present or absent in an organism. Secondly, on the number of cells, how many cells are present in each organism, and thirdly on the type of cell. So we will be dealing all these three one by one. Firstly, whether on the presence or absence of the cells. So, whether on the presence or absence of the cells, the organisms are categorized into two types. First is acellular, as second is cellular. The word acellular, the word A stands for absent and cellular means cells. So, the organisms which do not consist of any cell in their body organization are called as acellular organisms. As you can see, those organisms that do not contain any cell in their body organization are called as acellular organisms, and the examples are viruses. Okay, second one is the cellular organism. Those organisms which consist of one or many cells in their body organization are called as cellular organisms. Example: bacteria, animal cells, plant cells, etc. So these are the two broad categories. Second is on the number of cells. On the basis of number of cells, the organisms are further classified into two types. What are those? The first is the unicellular organism and second is the multicellular organism. Uni, the word uni means one or single, and cellular means cells. So those organisms which consist of a single cell or one cell in their body organization are called as unicellular organism. Second is the multicellular organism. The word multi means many and cellular means cells. So the organisms which consist of more than one cells or many cells in their body organization are called as multicellular organisms. Now we will see what are the characteristics or how a unicellular organism is different from a multicellular organism. Okay. So first is the unicellular organisms are single celled, which means they consist of only a single cell in their body, while a multicellular organism, it consists of more than one cells or many cells in its body. Secondly, all the activities in a unicellular organism is performed by a single cell only. Let it be from respiration, excretion, digestion, assimilation, absorption, etc. All the metabolic processes, these are performed by a single cell only. Okay, while in multicellular organisms, a single cell is assigned one or a few specific functions. For example, neurons, these are assigned the purpose of carrying the messages to the brain and bringing back the messages from the brain. Okay. Now third, no division of labor is there in unicellular organisms, which means all the work of the body, all the cells, all the metabolic functions are performed by a single cell. While in multicellular organisms, there is a division of labor, which means a single cell is performing a specific function, which means all the cells, each and every cell in a multicellular organism is assigned a specific function of its own. Next is the reproduction utilizes the single cell in the unicellular organism. For example, amoeba, it is a unicellular organism. And a unicellular organism reproduction mainly takes place by the process of fission. What happens? The parent cell divides into two. So which means now the parent cell is nowhere. There is now progeny cell. Okay. So which means the reproduction process, it is consuming the single cell which was there. While in the multicellular organisms, some few cells are there which are called as the germ cells, and these germ cells are only taking part in the reproduction process, not the whole of the cells. Okay, and the last is the lifespan of unicellular organism is usually short, while the lifespan of a multicellular organism is usually large. The organisms are further classified on the basis of type of cells into two types. First are the prokaryotes and second is the eukaryotes. Those organisms which has a prokaryotic cell are called as prokaryotes, while those organisms which have a eukaryotic cell are called as eukaryotes. The word prokaryotes has been derived from two words. The first is pro, which means the primitive, and karyos, which means the nucleus. So the organisms having a primitive nucleus are called as prokaryotes. The word eukaryotes is also derived from the two words eu, which means true, and karyotes means nucleus. So the organisms which have a true nucleus are called as eukaryotes. Now we will see the different characteristics of a prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells, and also how these prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells differ from each other. First, the size of a prokaryotic cell is usually small. It ranges from 1 to 10 μm, while the size of a eukaryotic cell is usually large, which is 5 to 100 μm. Secondly, a proper nucleus is not present in a prokaryotic cell, which means a nuclear membrane is lacking. Okay, while in a eukaryotic cell, a proper nucleus is present. Thirdly, in prokaryotes, it contains only a single chromosome, while in eukaryotes, more than one chromosome is present. Fourthly, the nucleus or the undefined nuclear region is absent in prokaryotes, while in eukaryotes, nucleus or the undefined region of the nucleus is present. Next, the membrane bound organelles such as mitochondria, lysosome, these are all absent in these prokaryotic organisms. While in eukaryotes, the membrane bound organelles such as the mitochondria, lysosomes, these are present. And the last point is the cell division in these prokaryotic organisms or the prokaryotic cell takes place by the process of fission or budding, which means simply splitting into two. Okay, while the cell division process in eukaryotes, it takes place by the process of mitosis and meiosis. I hope this classification of organisms on the basis of number of cells, on the basis of type of cells, and on the basis of presence and absence of cells was helpful to you. Share the video, watch the video, like the channel, subscribe the channel. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.